Hey guys, thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to be going over Ethereum and its ratio with respect to Bitcoin. If you guys like this content, please subscribe to the channel and turn your notifications on, and check out the Telegram channel in the description below. I also do have a Twitter account that I will post updates to, and I recently I'm carrying out some polls to be put into Ethereum letters, which will be an intensive Ethereum report coming out in February. And to get an idea of what it looks like, or what it will look like, you can check out Bitcoin Letters, which is a 21-page report on Bitcoin that I released about a week ago. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump in here. So we're talking about Ethereum, the ratio of Ethereum to Bitcoin, and we're looking at it for the entirety of basically Ethereum's existence. Now, one of the things you can notice, and this is unlike a lot of coins, a lot of coins with respect to Bitcoin, they operate, or they oscillate, I should say, between a given window, and that window doesn't really change. Then maybe they go from 10 to the minus 5 to 10 to the minus 4, maybe it's some other ratio, but there are a lot of coins that don't ultimately gain ground on Bitcoin. They might, they go between the window, but they're always coming up and back down. Ethereum, it seems, for the most part, it seems to be trending up in general. So it's typically gaining ground on Bitcoin if you look at the macro picture. Now, one of the things we can look at are these red dots here, and these correspond to the annualized minimum. So for each year, I'm showing you where the minimum ratio of Ethereum to Bitcoin is, or where it was. So for 2015, you can see it was here, 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2019. Now, one of the things that stands out right away is the fact that, many of these minimums, if you notice, occur around January. So we can't really say too much about 2015 because we don't have price data throughout the entirety of 2015. So there wasn't, a January price that we could have even looked at. But if you look at 2016, the minimum was right around this point, right in January. Here it was right around January. Over here it was slightly before January. And in 2019 was actually the first time that it was not January or December. And it was actually a few months back. But it is an interesting thing, and I've talked about how Ethereum, when you're looking at moves in the first and second quarter, typically, not always, but they typically tend to have a decent return. So I mean, here with respect to Bitcoin, you can see that in the first two quarters of this year, saw a really good return against Bitcoin. Over here, saw a really good return. Again, over here, going into that first and second quarter, with respect to Bitcoin anyways, we saw a pretty good return. And even over here, even while we were in a downtrend going into 2019, if you had invested at this basically in the fourth quarter, and that's the entire idea, is if you invest in the fourth quarter of the year before and then cash out, sometime in the first or second quarter of the following year, it historically would have been a wise idea, at least with respect to Bitcoin. So again, investing here and then cashing out up here, or investing here, cashing out up here. And then in 2018, it would have been investing over here and then cashing out sometime in the first or second quarter. And now it would correspond to investing here. And then if we were to correspond to if we were to repeat, then that would mean we would expect, if the trend repeats, to see some gains here with respect to Bitcoin, because historically this is what we see, at least at some point in the first or second quarter. Now, I can't say when that would happen, or even if it would happen, but just looking at past trends, this seems to be a pattern. And so that's important to note, that for all I know, tomorrow the ratio could go down, but at some point in the first two quarters, I would like to see this this gain with respect to Bitcoin. And if we see it, it's important to remember that it's a wise idea to take profits. Don't just sit on your investment forever. And I'm not saying, I'm not offering financial advice, but I mean, if you believe in Ethereum long term, you can still hold on to a sizable portion. But I don't think there's a whole lot of harm in just selling even a small portion of your stack, just taking the profits, and then if the ratio drops, then you could reinvest it. And if it doesn't drop, then that was part of the risk that you took. So again, we're not even showing 2020 here, obviously the minimum or maximum, because we have very little data. But if we connect these points, you can kind of see the trend here. So we had a 4-year uptrend from 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018. And then 2019 was the first time we went down. And actually currently we are above where we were in 2019 at our lowest point. So it could be that this is the first year that we say go up in terms of looking at the minimum ratio of Ethereum with respect to Bitcoin. We can also look at yearly maximums, which you can see here are the blue points. And we're not going to really talk about yearly maximums that much, because I think looking at minimums are more powerful, because maximums, they come in at an irrational time in the market, so it's really hard to take too much away from them. But just for the sake of completeness, we will showing you the yearly maximum. So with respect to Bitcoin, so you can see that we were on an uptrend for 3 years, and then now we've been in a downtrend for the last 2 years. So just consider that. This is not something new to the crypto market, this type of trend. In fact, Bitcoin has experienced this trend before, and we'll show that later in the video. So one of the things I do like to do after I publish these videos is to read all the comments, and some of the comments are funny. So one guy commented that he didn't like these pillows back here. There were 2 of them. So just to highlight them a little bit more, I stacked 2 more pillows so that you really can see them there. So I hope that helps. I know it's a pretty bland room behind me, but it is what it is. I'm just trying to focus on the content, and I think the content will speak for itself. So here again, we're taking these data points and then just plotting them on that year, no matter when they occurred. So we have 2015, 16, 17, 18, and 19, and you can kind of see the bubble occur. And I should say that when we're looking at these gains, I've mentioned this before, but in case you're the first time watching watching any of my videos, the times that this corresponded to Bitcoin holding the 20-week moving average, this corresponded to Bitcoin reaching a previous all-time high, and then this was the end of that, or sorry, I should say this was the end of that mania phase of that the long extended bull run. So again, Bitcoin held the 20-week, so that's when Ethereum went up. Bitcoin reached a previous all-time high in the first quarter of 2017, Ethereum went up. And then Bitcoin reached the end of its bull run, Ethereum went up. Those are the 3 times that you can see those massive moves. And I will, by the time this video gets published, and it might be a couple days, currently it's, let's see what the date is, it's January 13th. So I know Bitcoin is flirting with the 20-week moving average, so we'll be keeping a close eye on that. Because if we can get above it and have some weekly candles where we consistently close above it, then I will be certainly bullish on Ethereum in the short term. So let's continue moving through this. You can see I'm just plotting those yearly lows, and you can basically see that bubble form and come back down. And if we were to fit an equation to this, remember this is a logarithmic scale. So if we were to fit an exponential equation, so remember on a logarithmic scale, if it's an exponential fit, it would just be linear. Now I excluded these 2 data points in the fit just because I try not to fit bubble data. I don't think it's worth fitting, and so that's what you get if you do that. And this is just so the form y equals a times the exponential of b times x, where x is the number of years and a and b are just fitting coefficients. So you can see during non-bubble times we're kind of around this general exponential uptrend. Remember, logarithmic scale, and you can imagine that if we are just oscillating around this one, we could even in 2020, we could actually still see a move up with respect to Bitcoin, but still be below this line. Because if you were to extend this line out to say the end of 2020, then if this is, if this is 10 to the minus 2, so this would be 2 times 10 to the minus 2, 3 times 10 to the minus 2. I mean, Bitcoin would have to be, say, 4 times 10 to the minus 2 for it to be above this trend line. So just keep that in mind. I mean, even if we're at, say, 2 or 3 times 10 to the minus 2, we could still be oscillating around this general uptrend. And it could make sense from a perspective of thinking that the cycle peak might occur in, say, 2022 or something, or 2023, because maybe this next year we're below it, and then we come back up to it, and so 2020 maybe we stay below the trend line, but it's still going up. 2021 maybe we're on the trend line that's still going up. 2022 or 2023 maybe we see something similar to this breakout like this above the trend line. So this is just something to keep in mind. We focus on the macro picture. I do sometimes pull up TradingView and we'll throw some things on there, but in general I like to create my own charts like this one, and I would like to get your guys' feedback on them. I was doing it with a white background, but I think it was burning too many people's eyes, and so I've implemented a dark theme. So let me know what you guys think. So here I want to highlight again this general minimum every single year, and this is Bitcoin with respect to the US dollar, and you can see on a log scale what it's done. And if we take the annual Bitcoin minimums, then you can see we kind of see that same downtrend some years, or at least that one year. And if you compare it to Ethereum, you can kind of see that Ethereum went up with respect to Bitcoin. Now it had this down year, which is, even Bitcoin with respect to USD has done similar stuff before. So the point of all of this is just par for the course. I mean, this doesn't mean that Ethereum has to go back to its all-time high, but assuming that this were the cycle, that Ethereum were to say go to its previous all-time high and higher, what it's doing right now is completely in line with what Bitcoin has done in the past. Now, maybe the exact percentages are different. I know that they are. But at the same time, this is just par for the course in the crypto market. And I put out a poll on Twitter recently where I said, what do people think is going to be the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio at the peak of the next bull run? And one of the options was greater than 0.15. And someone commented that he was an Ethereum bull, but even think that was just too far out there. And it's funny because now where we currently are, that does seem that far out, but where we've been in the past, 0.15 was where we actually hit in the past. I mean, this was the max ratio up here of 0.15. So keep that in mind. It's while it seems like it's a pipe dream now, once upon a time it was reality, and we hope that it becomes reality again. So that basically wraps it up for this video. I did get one request. I do like to read the comments. I mentioned in one of my videos that I had a dog, and someone has requested to see my dog. So this is her. So I'm curious if anyone can guess what she's a mix between. So this is what she looks like. I'd be curious if anyone knows what mix she is. So let me know in the comments below if you have any idea. And also just let me know in general what you guys think about these videos. If you guys want me to continue looking at Ethereum and diving in. And again, if you want to join the Telegram channel, check out the description and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And finally, one last thing, if you guys wanted to, I mentioned earlier that we are going to be having Ethereum letters coming out in February. Now I will be publishing a brief report on that for free, an abbreviated report. It'll still be several pages long. It'll still cover some of the main highlights. But if you want the full report, the full extensive report, then make sure to join this this dedicated patron tier, which if you do, you get access to the full edition of Bitcoin letters, a patron-only chat room, patron-only updates, a subscription to the full edition of Ethereum letters, and then a subscription to the full edition of altcoin letters, which will come out in March. So keep that in mind if you guys want to dive in further. We do have ways for you to do that. If that's not your thing, if you just want to keep it free and do that, I totally understand and respect that as well. So that's completely fine. So again, please support the channel, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.